Namaste. Hi guys. So today I just wanted to, I guess, touch on and discuss dealing with people while in sobriety, dealing with those who are not in sobriety, and then dealing with those who are in sobriety. Because I'm just really starting to feel like I'm like in the middle. Like I'm feeling like I understand both sides. I identify with both sides. I totally get both sides. And I'm kind of just like, I don't have a group of people in sobriety, at least in my area, that I feel like I connect with, which I hope is something that will happen. And most likely my fault. I have these high expectations of people in sobriety, and I expect people to be perfect in sobriety, and I'm not myself. So in realizing this, it's kind of helped me to take a step back and understand that we all have our faults. Because I think I just expected that I was gonna get sober and everything, all my problems of who I am as a person were gonna go away. And no, they just literally smacked me in the face. It made me realize I gotta deal with this stuff and either change it or embrace it and accept it for who I am. Some of them I have and I've had to, and it's kind of made things a little bit easier. Because if you really think about it, any faults of yourself, you can in some way twist and make it something positive. I have a lot of people who say that I'm intimidating, and I am. And I don't mean to be by any means, but it is something that I choose not to work on because I really can't even help it sometimes. I'm 5'11", I'm a big girl, and it kind of just comes with the territory of being tall, and especially being a tall female. But I also, I try my best not to use it to my advantage, but just that it is what it is. I'm still, if you really want to get to know me, I'm really not all that intimidating. So, there's good and bad parts with every part of your being that you are. I'm a bitch, but I'm really actually not a bitch. There's always, an in-between for everything. I'm selfish, but I'm also not really selfish. So I think a lot of this, comes back to where a lot of times I don't identify in recovery, because I see so many of you guys just labeling yourself at that and holding it, harboring it to your life and just letting it chain you down. You hold an anchor to being an alcoholic and an addict. And I just feel when you do that, you make it so much harder for yourself. Yes, there's stigmas. There's stigmas with everything. There's stigmas with being gay. There's stigmas with being an addiction, an addict as a parent. There's stigmas to everything. I was still a good mom when I was drinking, to the point where my kid doesn't even know that or feel I was an alcoholic. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're a bad parent. There's just so much to it. You can't let the stigmas hold you down or hold you as a certain person. And especially I think that's why I speak out so much in recovery, because I want all of us to understand that when you're in your active addiction, probably most of those stigmas had everything to do with you, because you were using a substance that completely altered and changed your mind. We all did really weird shit, myself included. But I just don't let it label me. I'm an alcoholic. I cannot drink. And story, I leave it there and I walk away and I continue my life. And substance abuse is huge in my life. Being a server and a bartender, I see it every day. But I just won't let it define me. Just I will not let being gay define me either. But I think that's where I'm a little different. I try to step outside of labels and boxes, and especially nowadays in our society, it's just huge. Where we want to identify ourselves and understand ourselves and stuff like that, on this paramount level, even to the point where in my recovery it's having to dig deep into a lot of these things, but now of my past and my life and having to identify with it, I'm realizing that's just who I was. For me, whether sober or drunk, what's going to ultimately define me is the type of person that I am. If I am a good or bad person, if I'm a loving or hateful person, if I am a son just dropped something, sorry. If I am a healthy person. You know, and so I think sometimes, a lot of times, that's why I end up hanging out with, or at least right now in my life, like most of my, like my two closest and best friends are probably alcoholics and don't know it. And I choose to hang out with them more than anybody else, ultimately because they also accepted my fault in being an alcoholic and understand that, like, I can still hang out and do things with them while not drinking. And they completely support me in that, would never want me to, like, pressure me to drinking. But because I understand why they do it. Like, I understand where they're at and why they feel like they need to do it, to escape, to relax, to whatever. So... but that's really all I want to touch on about, like, my experience with dealing with both people outside of recovery and people in recovery. And I'm hoping that, you know, I'll find more sober and people in recovery type friends. And that's why I really like R&R, because R&R does not by any means put such a damper or emphasis on what type of addiction or the amount of time that you have in your addiction. And that's something, the two main things that I absolutely love about Refuge Recovery, because I just see, like, so many people, like, oh, well, I go to NA, or I go to AA, or I go to AA, but because I don't identify with people in NA, or I don't identify with, I'm just like, oh my God, we're all the same here, whether I choose to do coke or I fucking choose to drink. Like, we're all the same. So, and that's just really it for me. That's just how I see it. But also, so my year is literally like 3 weeks away, and I'm still having a difficult time. I can totally feel myself, like, wanting to self-sabotage and just go out and drink. Because it's just right around the corner, and part of that whole, like, oh, you're not really worthy. But I am worthy, and I'm going to stick to my guns and make sure that I get to my year, and just hope and pray that, like, after my year that, like, some of those cravings subside. Because I ultimately decided that I'm going to go to Florida with my kid to celebrate the fact that I'm making it to my year. I'm enjoying living on this side of the glass. And I hope that I'll be able to help more people understand that although it's difficult, it is so much more worth living this way. But that's all really for me, and that's all I had to say. So I hope everybody's having a happy and sober living life. Other than that, namaste sober, and I hope you do too.